guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock on a Thursday, which means it's time for a Magic Stuff. Now today I'm going to be doing a follow-up to a video that I did a couple of weeks ago that was really popular, which was 5 mistakes new magicians make and how to fix them. And thank you so much for the feedback to that video. It was incredible listening to all your comments. Apparently you found it really, really useful. So this is a follow-up video, 5 more mistakes that new magicians make and how to fix them. Now, if you want to see that original video, you can do so. The link is in the description, or you can go check out the Magic Stuff playlist if you haven't already seen that. But this is going to be 5 more mistakes that magicians make, new magicians make when they first get into magic, that kind of stops them from maybe being the best they can be. This is the advice that I wish that I had when I first got into magic that no one kind of told me. So here we go. Without further ado, mistake number 1. Okay, the first mistake that new magicians make when they first get into magic is becoming too heavily scripted. Now, don't get me wrong, scripting is important. When you're coming up with a presentation for a trick and you're working out what you're going to say and what you're going to do, scripting is vitally important, and there's some fantastic books on scripting. But the lovely thing about magic is it allows you to ad-lib. It allows you to go in different directions depending on what happens in the routine and depending on what the audience says and depending on what the audience does. And I have seen so many magicians, not just new magicians, but professional magicians that are scripted to the nth degree. And I've seen magicians that just have this script that they follow, and if somebody says something that deviates them from that script, they look lost. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. I'm a big advocate of having the ability within your performance of going off in a different direction and ad-libbing, and that will never happen if everything is just completely scripted. So I'll give you an example. The other day, I've got a tattoo here that I use for a multiple selection. And it's the Ace of Clubs, the 2 of Hearts, the Jack of Spades, the 5 of Diamonds, the 3 of Clubs. And I force those 5 cards to 5 different people. And each person gets the card, and then I find them one at a time, like a multiple selection. And then at the finale, I say, well, I knew what your cards were before you even picked them. Look, and I hold the fan of the 5 cards that I've just found next to this, and I show that I've predicted, using a tattoo, the order of the cards and the cards that they picked. Always brings the house down. I was at a gig about a week ago, and there was this guy, and it was the first person out of the 5 that I was trying to riffle force this card on. And he kept saying, no, I want the Queen of Hearts. I was like, no, because everybody names the Queen of Hearts. Let's do something random, say star. No, I want the Queen of Hearts. I said, okay, I'll do something with the Queen of Hearts later. And anyway, it went back and forth. He was a bit of a cock. And eventually I got him to take a card normally, and I did the routine. And at the end of the routine, he said, yeah, but what about the Queen of Hearts? Now, I actually have a Queen of Hearts tattooed on this arm here, on my underarm. And the reason it's there is because you can't see it. Unless I bring my arm up like that, in a gigging situation, you can't see it. And it's because most people name a Queen of Hearts. Now, if I'd scripted that routine to the nth degree and I couldn't deviate from that script at all, it wouldn't allow me to go, oh, the Queen of Hearts, yeah, I predicted that on this arm. Which just completely killed the entire room dead. And it was like, right, okay, this guy's like some sort of second coming of the Messiah. I could give you a million examples of situations where a spectator says something, a spectator does something, something happens during the course of the performance, which causes me to go off in a completely different direction. A lot of the time, mid-trick, I'll just go into a completely different trick. Like, I will literally just go into a completely different trick. I've done that more than once. And I suppose the point I'm trying to make here is when you're practicing your magic and you're getting a new trick and you're trying to get it down, and you're trying to make it perfect, yes, script it and think about what you're going to say and think about what you're going to do, because you don't want to just perform it for the first time and not have a clue what you're saying or doing. But it's equally as important to be flexible with that script. Don't just rely on the script, but learn how to ad-lib. Learn one-off lines, learn jokes and quips, and think about what you would do in different situations if different things happen. That's the sort of thing that makes you a brilliant magician instead of a good magician. So point number 1 is don't be too scripted. Okay, point number 2, the second mistake that new magicians make, is develop your own character. Now, by character, I'm not necessarily talking about going and getting a green dragon suit and calling yourself Piff the Magic Dragon. Although that is character, that's kind of character extreme. I'm talking about developing your own character, your own persona, your own performance style, and not copying other people. One of the things that I see new magicians doing all of the time is watching performances from some of their favorite magicians that they can relate to when they first get into magic and just copying their style. I remember seeing a magician maybe a couple of years ago now at a convention, and he was very good, technically very sound, very confident, but he opened up the performance as Jay Sankey, doing exactly the same thing that Jay would do, word for word, line for line, then transitioned into a bit of Michael Amar, then moved into a bit of Scott Alexander, and finished off with a bit of Greg Wilson. And I've lost count of the amount of times that people have done that. And it's not very good. What you need to do is you need to develop your own style. One of the reasons that I'm an advocate for reading books is because when you read books, you don't imitate the style of the performer, because you can't do that from reading a book. Now, I'm not saying don't watch downloads. I'm not saying don't watch live performances. Exactly the opposite. I think that you should watch downloads. Downloads are great. I think you should watch live performances. I think you should find inspiration. Absolutely 100%. But use those to inspire you and not to base your whole character on. Find out you. Think about, the best piece of advice I was given is go to some of your closest friends and ask them 5 character traits that they think resemble you, your 5 strongest character traits, and write them down and tell them to be completely honest with you. Say, look, be completely honest. What are the 5 character traits that you think sum me up the best? And then try and put a character together that fits those character traits. And also try to put a character together that kind of fits who you are. I see so many people that try to make a character of themselves that doesn't really have anything to do with who they are. They have this fake character. Tom Crosby is the perfect example of somebody who doesn't do that. His character and how he's made all of his success is from being the performing nerd, right? Well, here's the thing. He is a nerd. He absolutely is a nerd. He was a nerd before he created that character. So why not just embrace it? And you look at Piff the Magic Dragon and you kind of think, well, okay, he's a dragon. How is that relatable? I understand what you're saying, but if you actually think about it, Piff the Magic Dragon is just a really sarcastic, kind of laid back kind of guy. And that's what John Vanderput's like. So what you want to do is you want to try to, it's really important to not emulate everybody else that you see. And it's a very easy thing to do. Oh, Greg Wilson does that trick just like that. So that will work for me. So that's exactly how I'm going to do it. Word for word, line for line. No. It may work for Greg Wilson, but you're going to find something else that works best for you. And I've said on the channel over and over again, my style is this kind of loud, annoying kind of guy that does not think for a second that magic's real and isn't, and once you understand what your style's like, it will dictate everything from how you dress and how you relate to your audiences and trick selection and how you routine tricks together. Everything will be kind of all-encompassing. But it all starts by trying to make your performances unique and not emulating or copying other people's presentation styles. Okay, point number 3 is practice makes perfect, but correct practice makes perfect. It is true, that old adage that practice makes perfect, but correct practice. Now, let me explain what I mean by this. And first of all, in a few weeks, I'm going to be doing a video just on how to practice properly. How, as a magician, you can practice properly. Because I think one of the big mistakes that magicians have is they don't like to practice. And when they do practice, they don't practice in a way that really helps them. And I want to do a video on this, but it's such an important point, I wanted to make it here. You need to love and enjoy practicing. You know, at the end of the day, that's the big part of magic as a hobby. And if you are watching this video and you are a magician, whether you're a full-time magician, a semi-pro, an amateur, a hobbyist, or you're brand new into magic, it doesn't really matter. If you're watching this video and you have a desire to learn magic, then you are a magician. And as a magician, you know, you need to practice. You need to love to practice, because the only way you're going to get good at something is to practice. But don't just practice the sleights. Practice the full routine, practice scripting, practice presentation, practice everything. So if you're working on a new routine, don't just silently work through the routine. Rylan does this, and he's so annoying for it. He just practices it in his head. He just kind of sits there doing the moves, practicing it in his head. And then afterwards, I'll say to him, show me then. And the presentation won't be very good at all. And he's like, I don't understand. I practiced it in my head. There's a world of difference between practicing something in your head and actually speaking the words out loud. You know, when I practice something that I'm actually going to be putting into my act, I make sure that I'm practicing it as I would be doing it. So if I'm planning on putting something into my walk around set, I'm going to stand there and I'll have a table in front of me that will be the spectators' hands. I'm going to practice it as I would do it in a walk-around situation. And a lot of the time, I'll video what I'm doing as well, because I want to actually look back at it and see if what I say makes sense and what I'm doing makes sense. But you've got to practice, and you've got to learn to love practicing. You know, the only way that a trick is going to get good is if you do it over and over again. But like I say, it's got to be the correct practice. So don't learn the trick incorrectly, because if you learn a sleight wrong and then you practice that sleight 1,000 times, all you've done is perfected the wrong way of doing something, right? You need to make sure that you're doing it correctly first. So first of all, you need to figure, let's say you're learning how to do a double lift, for example. I'm sure you all know how to do a double lift. But let's say you're learning how to do a double lift. This is where the cameras come in. This is where the three-way mirror comes in. Because what you're doing is you want to make sure that you've got it looking good, first of all. Make sure it looks good. Have somebody who you can trust that you can show it to and say, how does this look? It's meant to look like I'm turning one card over. Does that look good? It does. Brilliant. Once you've got it to a point that you know it looks good, then you can practice it and drill it and do it over and over again. Because in magic, there's this, well, not just in magic, but in life, there's this thing called muscle memory. The more you do something, the better you're going to get at it. It's just a fact. You know, there's that old saying that if you want to be perfect at something, you've got to do it 10,000 times. So, you know, and there's two lots of practice. You know, a lot of the time when I'm sitting at my desk or I'm sitting on a train, I'll just be there practicing sleights, okay? Diagonal palm shift, whatever it may be. And I'll just be sitting there just practicing sleights over and over again while I'm doing some work. But that's one type of practice. The other type of practice is serious practice, where you sit down and you're like, right, I'm going to nail this routine. And you're going to say the routine out loud. Right, ladies and gentlemen, let me show you something with a pack of cards. Let me just give these cards a cut. I'm going to find the ace. Look, how can you name a number for me? 23. Look, if I cut right here, that's the 23rd card. Thank you very much. And I pretend that there's invisible spectators around me, and I react to what I think that they're going to be doing, which takes it to an nth degree. It's ridiculous, really, when you think about it. But that's how I practice. And you know, I see a lot of new magicians that shy away from practice. They don't practice, and so when they do the stuff in the real world, it's half-assed and not very good. You've got to learn to love practicing. Okay, so the next point is preparation is key. And this is for newer magicians that eventually want to start gigging and making money from gigging. And this point is the thing that I've talked about on the channel before. It drives me up the wall. It drives me crazy. I really wish people wouldn't do it, but I see it over and over and over again on Facebook groups, on discussion groups. I see it over and over again. And that is magicians, new magicians being offered a gig and not being prepared to go and do the gig that they've been offered. And I'll give you an example. It happened just a couple of days ago. Somebody went on a forum going, hey, I've got a close-up job that I've said yes to. It's in 3 days' time. What do you think I should do? Well, let me tell you, if in 3 days' time you've got a gig and you don't know what to do at that gig, then the simple solution is you shouldn't have accepted the gig. You shouldn't have accepted payment for that gig, because you're obviously not ready if you have to go on a discussion group and go, what am I going to do? By the time you accept a close-up gig, You should have several routines that you know inside out and back to front. You should have set lists prepared. You should have kind of thought about your pocket management. You should have, thought about the presentation that you're going to use with all of these different routines. You should have done them over and over again, and you thought out all the problems that can occur with them. All of this stuff should have happened before you've accepted the gig. By the time you accept a gig, you shouldn't need to be going on a forum going, what should I do? You already know what you need to do. And there's variations of this as well. I've seen people go on and go, I've got a gig in 3 days' time, and this trick would be perfect. Does anybody know where I could buy it from? Well, what? Hang on, this is a trick that you don't know, that you don't even own, and you're asking where you can get it from. So best case scenario, you find somewhere, it's in stock, and they send it to you next day delivery, which means that you're going to get it 2 days before the gig, and you're telling me you're going to be able to nail that routine in 2 days before going and doing it in front of an audience. Treat your audiences with some respect. We owe it to our audiences to do the best possible job that we can do. When they book us and we go in, we have to further the art of magic. I cannot tell you the amount of times I've gone into a gig and I've had someone go, oh, I don't like magic. And I've performed for them and they go, actually, I do like magic. I didn't think I did, but you were really good. And it's not because I'm the world's greatest magician. It's because they probably saw somebody before who half-arsed it and didn't do a very good job. And whenever you hear people talking about bad magicians, it's normally underprepared magicians that have got into a situation that they're not ready for and blagged it. And I've been there, I've done that. I remember getting a booking for a comedy club when I'd never even performed on stage. And I had a phone call going, hey, can you do this comedy club? Can you do your magic act at the comedy club? Yeah, I can, no problem. Never done an act on stage before. Never done anything but close-up magic and a few kid shows. I went there, and what happened? I died on my arse. And I died on my arse because I didn't understand the environment and I didn't understand what I was getting myself into. So I understand the desire to go out and perform, and someone offers you a gig and it's very difficult to say, no, I'm not going to take that gig. But sometimes that's what you're going to have to do. Sometimes that's what you're going to have to do. I saw a couple of weeks ago somebody going, oh, I don't do kid shows, but I've been asked to do a magic show for my 5-year-old nephew. And I've said yes. So I'm doing Ambitious Card and Cards Across. What else do you recommend? Well, not Ambitious Card and not Cards Across for a 5-year-old. Do you understand what I'm saying? You need to go into an environment and do the best possible job that you can do. And you can't do that if you're underprepared. And you need to give yourself time to be prepared. That's really important. That is vitally important. So if somebody contacts you and you don't for a gig that's coming up in a very short period of time and you don't think you're ready, say to them, look, I'll be honest with you, I don't think that I'm ready for that. I can come along, I'm not going to charge you, I'm new, I'm not experienced, blah, 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 blah. Or offer somebody else the gig. You know, say, hey, I've got a few friends that are really good. Would you like me to pass their details on to you? That's the best thing to do. Now, I'm not saying that new magicians shouldn't go out there and start performing. That's not what I'm saying at all. I've read in places in the past that new magicians shouldn't go out and start performing until 5 years after being, Ian Kendall is a perfect example. So Ian Kendall has got a very controversial opinion where he says you shouldn't go out and perform until you're 5 years in to learning magic. And I think that's extreme. I really do. I'm all for magicians, new magicians going out and actually going out and doing paid gigs and becoming semi-pros and maybe eventually pros. Absolutely. I'm totally into that 100%. But do it the right way. Start off by doing some free shows or go to like a restaurant or something and say, hey, I'm new, but I'm really good. I want some experience. I don't know what you're going to do. There's a lot of different options. I've talked about it on the channel before. This is not the video for advice on that. If you want advice on that, let me know. What this is the video for is to say to you, it's a mistake to go out and take on gigs that you're not ready for. And it's going to harm the industry. It's going to harm people's perceptions of magic. It's going to harm people's perceptions of magicians. It's going to really reduce your ego down to nothing when you go there and you die on your arse. When I went and did that comedy club and I died on my arse, it was years before I even had the guts to stand on stage again because I just couldn't do it. I was wrecked. So for all of these reasons, be prepared. If you're going into a situation, make sure you know what you're doing and you've got your act together. Okay, and the final point that I want to make on this video, point number 5, the 5th mistake new magicians make is have fun. Have fun, or you'll burn out. Remember, magic is a hobby. Magic is a hobby. You have to have fun with it. If practice becomes a chore, if practice is something where you go, oh, I don't really want to do this, but I'm going to have to, then you're doing it wrong. Magic should be fun. When I practice, and I do almost every single day, when I practice, it's because I love to practice. I love magic. And I love either creating or learning new magic and learning new moves and new routines. It excites me. I love it, which is why I probably perform everything that I review on the review shows. The reason I do that is because seeing a new trick, it excites me. I want to learn it. Now, there's some tricks that come out that I don't want to learn, but that's a totally different story. The point is, you've got to love learning and performing magic. And if you're not loving it, you're doing something wrong. I can't tell you the amount of stories that I've heard, especially over the last 2 years during COVID, where magicians have said to me, I've lost the spark. I haven't picked up a pack of cards in 6 months. I haven't picked up a pack of cards in a year. I haven't bothered doing anything, or I can't be asked to practice. I just sit there and I just look at the deck and then I just go off and do something else. Well, what that says is you've lost your love of magic. You know, if you don't want to even practice, if you don't want to even pick up a pack of cards, if you don't want to try something new, then you've lost your love of magic, and you don't want that to happen, because magic is a wonderful art form. So the first thing that I would say to you is make it fun, make it enjoyable. Don't make it a regime. Make it fun. Enjoy it. That's really, really important. And if you're not enjoying it, go and find some inspiration. Go watch some magic videos of magicians that you love watching. Go watch some magic videos on YouTube. Just watch some performance videos. That always gets me fired up. You know, there's people that I go and watch that I just know I'm going to really enjoy. Francis Minotti is a perfect example. Rune Klan is a perfect example. Shin Lim is a perfect example. Michael Finney is a perfect example. Jeff Hobson is a perfect example. Kaylin and Ginger, people like that. I just love watching them perform. It revitalizes my love of magic. So if you're really kind of down and you're kind of thinking, oh, magic, this is a chore, that's just a slippery slope to you quitting magic. And I've seen so many people quit magic because they've just lost the spark, they can't be bothered, they sell all of their stuff and they move on. And they're the people that you meet when you're around a friend's house or you're at a gig and you're doing magic, and you meet that guy who's watching you and he goes, yeah, I used to do magic a few years ago. I had quite a lot of bits and pieces. Don't remember any of it now. That guy that you meet at that at that party or at that gig or around your friend's house, that could be you. Because all that's happened is this is a guy that was into magic and lost his spark and then got out of magic. You know, do you want that? Think about the first time that you decided you wanted to learn magic. Think about how exciting it was. Think about how wonderful it was when you realized that there were all these magic books and all these magic tricks and all these magic shops, and how exciting it was, and how your heart raced and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to learn everything all at the same time. Give me all the magic. I want all the magic now. Give it to me. I want to learn everything. Matrix my brain. Put it into my brain. Press a button. Let's do this. Because that's what everybody experiences when they first get into magic. And that's what you lose when you decide you want to leave magic. So don't ever let go of that feeling of joy, that feeling of wonder, that feeling of excitement that you get when you watch a magician, when you learn a new magic trick, when you first got into magic. Revitalize yourself. Go back to that point. Learn something, not because you want to learn it because you think it would be good in your act, not because you've got a gig and you need to put it into the gig. None of that. Just learn something for the fun of it. Something that you're never going to do. Something that you're never going to perform. You know, I know a ton of coin magic that requires the most ridiculous amounts of lapping, and it's just completely impractical. But I just learned it because I've watched people like David Roth and Jeff Latter and Michael Rubenstein and Lou Gallo and Mike Gallo, and, you know, the list goes on and on and on. I watch all of those people and I'm like, I need to learn that. I just need to learn it for my own personal edification. And I did, and I learned it, and I don't regret it. Because that's part of the process. do what you have to do to make sure that magic stays fun. So there you go, guys. That is another magic stuff in the bag. 5 more mistakes that magicians make and how to fix them. I hope that helped, but I want to know now down below what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments. And do you want to see another one of these videos? I could probably do another one with another 5 mistakes, but only if you guys want to see it. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. And don't forget, if you want to see more videos like this, you know what you need to do. You just need to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. I'm going to be back tomorrow on Friday with 3 videos. One at 2, one at 6, one at 9. And then on the weekend, we're going to be back with another 8 videos. And don't forget, if you haven't checked out the Magic Podcast with myself and Lloyd Barnes, it went live on every single podcasting platform yesterday. So go check that out. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. My name's Craig from Magic TV.